The NFL has seen phenoms before. It's seen rookies arrive with hype, swagger, and a chorus of doubters trailing behind. But it's never seen anything quite like what's unfolding with Shedeur Sanders. Because this isn't just about football. It's about economics, identity, and a cultural tidal wave the league didn't quite see. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. And now can't look away from Shedeur Sanders, a fifth-round pick for Cleveland Browns, hasn't thrown a single NFL touchdown, hasn't played a regular season snap, and yet his jersey has already generated a staggering $250 million in sales. That's not a typo. A fifth-round rookie, largely dismissed by analysts as an unproven product, riding his father's coattails, has outsold nearly every superstar in the game and pocketed $15 million in personal commission before putting on pads for his first professional down. It's not just a jaw-dropping number. It's a signal. The system is changing. What makes this even more profound is how those numbers came to be. This isn't the result of a viral moment, a lucky game, or a highlight reel. This is a result of resonance. Because what Shedeur represents transcends stats. He's a symbol of something bigger, a generational shift in how fandom works, how brand power is built, and how rookies can redefine value in a league obsessed with pedigree. Critics scoffed when the NFL launched Shedeur's jersey ahead of training camp. Why promote a bench warmer? They asked. He hasn't earned it yet. But what they didn't understand is that the demand was already there. Fans weren't waiting for permission. They were waiting for the link to go live. And when it did, it was a cultural stampede. Within hours, Sanders' jersey shot to the top of online charts. By day 3, it had outsold the top-selling rookie jerseys from the past 3 seasons combined. This wasn't hype. This was hunger. From fans who saw themselves in Sanders, who felt seen and represented by his presence, by his style, by the way he talks, leads, and refuses to dim his light. That fan base? It's different. They're not just Browns fans. In fact, many of them never wore brown and orange before. These are Shedeur Sanders fans. Full stop. They follow him, not the franchise. They bought the jersey because they believe in what he stands for, not because they needed new team gear. For years, the NFL's model of value hinged on draft order and game stats. Higher draft pick, bigger rookie contract, more marketing, more press. But Shedeur flipped that script. He didn't need the league's stamp of approval. He didn't need the primetime slot or the blue-chip draft status. What he needed and had was cultural currency, and he cashed it in brilliantly. This didn't happen overnight. It was a product of years of branding, social storytelling, behind-the-scenes grit, and a clear understanding of the intersection between sports and identity. Shedeur, through his time at Jackson State in Colorado, built more than a resume. He built a relationship with his audience, one that transcended school colors or win-loss records. So when his name slid further down the draft board than most expected, that audience didn't blink. They didn't care if NFL insiders called him a reach or a project. They already knew who he was, and they were ready to ride. Now the NFL is watching the economics play out in real time. A fifth-rounder is outperforming first-rounders at the register. His merchandise is moving at a volume that forces teams to reassess how they evaluate potential, not just on-field, but off-field too. Because love him or not, Shedeur has become a force in the most undeniable language in sports. Revenue. And that $15 million commission? That's just the beginning. It's a wake-up call to agents, marketers, front offices, and perhaps most importantly, young players. The old rules no longer guarantee success. Name recognition, draft status, and combined numbers aren't the only game in town. Now narrative matters. Authenticity matters. Fan engagement matters. And Shedeur wrote that playbook without asking for permission. Let's be clear, this isn't some influencer gimmick. This is deep generational representation. For many black fans, Shedeur represents a long overdue shift in visibility, respect, and ownership. He's not just wearing the jersey. He's redefining what the jersey means. That's why the backlash from traditionalists and media gatekeepers feels increasingly out of step. They cling to the idea that rookies must earn their stripes the old-fashioned way, quietly, humbly, and only after years of playing the background. But what they miss is that Shedeur already earned something far more potent than media approval. Trust. Trust from communities that often feel ignored by the league. Trust from fans who finally see a quarterback that reflects them, not just in skin tone, but in values, attitude, and ambition. It's no longer just about being the face of a franchise. It's about being the heartbeat of a movement. The Browns are in uncharted territory. They didn't just draft a quarterback. They inherited a brand, a loyal following, and a new level of scrutiny. Every decision they make regarding Shedeur is now amplified, dissected, and debated in corners of the internet the team's official social channels have never touched. That's both an opportunity and a minefield. Will they recognize his off-field power as a sign of on-field leadership, or will they try to tame it, contain it, shrink it to fit within the system's outdated expectations? Because if the NFL's history shows anything, it's that the league struggles when players disrupt the formula. From Colin Kaepernick to Lamar Jackson, black quarterbacks who move differently, whether stylistically, politically, or culturally, have often been scrutinized beyond reason. But the times are changing. And Shedeur Sanders isn't just riding that change, he's driving it. His rise is a masterclass in modern athlete branding. He didn't wait for the camera crew. He was the content. He didn't hope to be discovered. He made sure he was impossible to ignore. And he didn't just show up to be a player. He showed up to be a presence. So what happens next? Training camp will come. Preseason games will begin. Eventually, Shedeur will take the field, and the football world will get to see if the talent lives up to the momentum. But even if he stumbles, which every rookie does, the foundation has already been laid. He's built an empire before a single stat hits the books. He's already a case study in brand dominance. And if he wins on the field too, the league might have to rewrite the blueprint. Because in this era, a fifth-round pick can become the league's most valuable player without ever touching the MVP trophy. That's the Shedeur Sanders effect. And whether they admit it or not, the NFL is watching closely. The $250 million jersey figure wasn't just a flex. It was a statement, a mic drop, a scoreboard moment that didn't require a single touchdown. Because what Shedeur Sanders did, before even stepping on an NFL field, wasn't just beat expectations. He obliterated them. Fifth-round picks aren't supposed to break records. Fifth-round picks aren't supposed to headline marketing campaigns. And they definitely aren't supposed to outsell entire franchises in merchandise revenue. Yet here he is. Shedeur Sanders didn't just sell jerseys. He built a movement, a cultural juggernaut, a shift in the way fans, especially young, socially tuned-in fans, engage with the game. You can't talk about this without acknowledging how personal this is for a lot of people. Because when fans say they're Shedeur Sanders fans before they're Browns fans, what they're really saying is, we choose a story that speaks to us. We choose a player who reflects us, who understands the grind, the doubt, the cultural weight, and still walks with his head high. That's not about hype. That's about identity. And it's leaving some people very uncomfortable. Because Shedeur didn't play by the rules. He didn't wait his turn. He didn't water himself down. He didn't try to fit a mold crafted by old guard GMs and media gatekeepers. He showed up polished, branded, unapologetic, and ready. And for a league that still struggles with embracing individuality, especially from young black quarterbacks, that's more disruptive than any stat line. There are people in the league office right now staring at those jersey sales wondering, how did we miss this? Because let's be honest, if Shedeur had been a top 10 pick, none of this would be controversial. The league would be bragging about him in every highlight reel and PR release. But since he came in the back door, made noise before proving himself the traditional way, and did it with chip on his shoulder, that makes him dangerous. That makes him uncontrollable. And that's why the hate exists. You can see it in how analysts try to reframe his success. He's just a brand guy. He hasn't proven anything on the field. Let's see him earn it first. But here's the thing. They're not wrong to want on-field validation. Of course not. That's football. That's the game. But what they don't want to admit is that Shedeur already earned something different. Trust. He earned the trust of a fan base that feels historically ignored. A generation of young fans that values authenticity over status. He earned the trust of communities who see themselves in him. Not just because he's Dion's son, but because he's navigating pressure, doubt, and visibility with calm clarity. That's worth something. And clearly, it's worth millions. Let's talk about that $15 million commission. To put it in context, that's more than some Pro Bowl quarterbacks will make in salary this year. And it didn't come from commercials or appearances. It came directly from fans putting their money where their heart is. That changes everything. For future rookies, for team marketing departments, for sports agents everywhere trying to understand how to replicate this kind of early impact. It also raises a more uncomfortable question for the league. What happens when fans are more loyal to a player than a team? Because that's new territory. Traditionally, the shield comes first. The team, the brand, the history. That's what fans cling to. But Shedeur's emergence suggests we're entering a player-first era, where loyalty is built on personality, values, and visibility, not location or legacy. You might think that a threat to the NFL's ecosystem, but it could actually be its evolution. Think about it. The NBA figured this out a decade ago. LeBron, Steph, Giannis. They became global icons not just because of their play, but because the league embraced their brands. They became mobile franchises. They carried fan bases from team to team. And the NBA profited massively from that player-driven model. The NFL? Still catching up. And now Shedeur is here, skipping the line. He's not just ahead of the curve. He is the curve. He's a prototype for a generation of athletes who come into the league not looking to be molded, but to redefine the mold. They're polished. They're intentional. They understand media. They understand community. And they're not afraid of the spotlight because they already built their own. In Shedeur's case, this isn't about riding his dad's coattails. It's about using the game plan he watched up close, then adapting it for a new era. What Dion did with prime time, Shedeur is doing with precision. There's no flash and dance bravado. There's quiet confidence. There's strategy. There's messaging. There's real tactical brand building behind every move. But none of that would matter if fans didn't buy in. And clearly they are. Go on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, search his name. You'll find kids wearing his jersey who don't even know where Cleveland is on a map. You'll find fans in Oakland and Atlanta, in New York City, saying they're all in on Shedeur, not the Browns. You'll find middle schoolers mimicking his pregame routines, not because he's won titles, but because he feels authentic. That's influence. That's modern fandom. And the league can either fight it or learn from it. Meanwhile, other rookies are watching. So are veterans. Because when a fifth-round rookie makes more from jerseys than some players make in a season, it changes the incentives. Suddenly, it's not just about where you're drafted. It's about how you're positioned. It's about how well you know your story and how boldly you're willing to tell it. Shedeur told his story before the league could rewrite it for him. That's power. He's flipped the script on who gets to shape the rookie narrative. And that might be his greatest achievement so far. Now, let's be clear, none of this is a substitute for performance. Shedeur knows that. He said as much. The film has to speak eventually. The locker room still matters. He has to earn the huddle like every other quarterback in the league. But he's not waiting for validation to start leading. He's not waiting for a depth chart to start building a following. He's already created a platform. And that platform gives him leverage. It gives him voice. It gives him protection. Because when the first bad throw comes, and it will, the media will pounce. That's just the cycle. But Shedeur has something most rookies don't. A fan base that believes in him before the box score. That buys time. That buys patience. And in the NFL, that could be everything. If the Browns are smart, they'll recognize what they have. Not just a quarterback prospect, but a brand ambassador, a cultural bridge, a marketing machine, a player whose value extends far beyond the field, and whose connection to fans could help bring Cleveland into the modern NFL era, both competitively and culturally. If they're smart, they'll build with him, not around him, because this jersey wave is an anomaly. It's a blueprint. Shedeur Sanders is not just selling shirts. He's selling possibility. And the league better be ready. The problem for the league now is that the Shedeur Sanders phenomenon can't be contained within the box score. You can't quantify his impact in third down conversions or red zone efficiency, at least not yet, because his influence is operating on an entirely different axis. It's in the conversations being had in locker rooms, marketing departments, corporate boardrooms, and family households. It's not a football story anymore. It's a cultural disruption with cleats on. When Shedeur walked into the Browns facility, he didn't just arrive as a rookie quarterback. He arrived as a million-dollar media brand with the buying power of a mid-sized franchise. No other fifth-round draft pick has ever forced an NFL team to rethink their media strategy before training camp. But Shedeur did, internally. Sources say the Browns' PR team had to pivot months ahead of schedule, adding new media requests, rerouting brand partnerships, and setting up infrastructure to handle his individual market traffic. And we're talking before he threw a single pass in a padded practice. This is what happens when the story writes itself before the first chapter has even played out. It's not just Cleveland that's watching. Other teams are paying attention too. Quietly, there's envy. Front office executives in other cities are reportedly scrambling to identify the next Shedeur. They're combing through college rosters, trying to find that rare combination of athletic ability, media polish, and cultural credibility. But that's the thing. They're treating it like a product formula, when what Shedeur has is organic. You can't fake authenticity. You can't coach charisma. And you can't replicate being real with the people who've been waiting to see someone like you make it. Shedeur is a product of the moment, but he's also a creator of it, and that makes him powerful in ways the league still doesn't fully understand. Take the fan loyalty, for example. It's not team first, it's player first. That scares the old guard. If fans are pledging allegiance to players instead of logos, the traditional franchise identity weakens. The Shedeur Sanders fan base has already proven that they'll show up for him, regardless of which jersey he wears. That kind of mobility is rare in the NFL. It's common in basketball. But here, it's revolutionary. The Browns are getting a front row seat to what that looks like. Their social numbers have surged since the draft. Their merch store was nearly overwhelmed the week Sanders' jersey dropped. They're gaining a new audience, a younger, more engaged one that isn't from Ohio, but from Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And this isn't just about clicks and views. It's about identity and connection. Because for every kid wearing that jersey, there's a reason. Maybe it's the way Shedeur speaks confidently, but doesn't boast. Maybe it's his fashion, his faith, his family legacy. Maybe it's the fact that he didn't run from who he was. Even when people said it would cost him, he didn't tone it down. He doubled down. And in doing so, he gave people something to believe in. Let's be real. There's a historical weight to what's happening here. Black quarterbacks have always had to prove themselves more. To be quieter, safer, more humble, more grateful, more willing to play the system's game. The unwritten rules were clear. Fit in, earn your spot, then maybe you get to speak. Shedeur flipped that. He's speaking from the jump, not with arrogance, but with assurance. He knows who he is. He knows what he brings. And he's not asking for permission to show it. That confidence is often misread as ego, but it's really just clarity. And clarity is contagious. In fact, insiders close to the Browns' locker room say younger players are gravitating towards Shedeur, not just because of celebrity, but because he moves with a sense of direction. He's not trying to be the guy. He is the guy, whether he's QB1 or QB3, whether he's getting starter reps or scout team snaps. That presence matters. And the veterans are noticing too. While some may roll their eyes at the noise, others are watching how Sanders carries himself. He's not showing up late. He's not skipping walkthroughs. He's putting in the hours, asking the right questions, and staying after practice to run extra reps with the second-string receivers. He's not trying to bypass the process. He's just speeding it up, and you better believe other rookies are watching. Shedeur has become the blueprint for how to own your narrative from day one. Not just play the game, but change the game. Already, there are whispers of nil-era college stars prepping for the NFL by studying his media strategy. They're asking how he built his brand, how he kept control of his image, how he monetized before ever being mainstream. That's the new arms race. And while the NFL scrambles to adapt, Shedeur is just playing chess. Quietly, strategically, consistently. He's not yelling into microphones. He's not lashing out at critics. He's not begging for anyone's validation. He's just moving, stacking wins, both on and off the field. And when preseason comes, he'll be ready, not just for the game, but for the moment. Because if there's one thing this story proves, it's that the moment is already his. Every pass he throws will trend. Every snap he takes will be dissected. Every sideline shot will spark 1,000 comments. That's the price of being this visible. And yet, Shedeur seems unfazed by it all. Why? Because he prepared for this. Not just a media circus, but the scrutiny, the backlash, the envy, the pressure. That's what makes his rise so different. It's not just about hype. It's about durability. Mentally, emotionally, professionally. He's built for it. And if he starts delivering on the field, the NFL isn't just going to take notice. It's going to be forced to change. You'll start seeing fifth-round picks marketed earlier. More rookies launched as standalone brands. More player-first loyalty shaping team revenue. More freedom for athletes to speak, to own, to lead, even before they've won anything. Because Shedeur proved that winning starts before the scoreboard. It starts with belief, with presence, with showing up not just in the gym, but in your own story. That's the future of the NFL. And Shedeur Sanders didn't just join that future. He jump-started it.